To learn the good, the bad, and the reality of the off-grid lifestyle, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. So it's another cold, windy, rainy day. It's been raining all morning. It's in the low 50s. The wind is blowing. Of course, when the wind's blowing, I always feel like I got to yell at the microphone. I mean, the microphone is literally right here, but I feel like I got to yell. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? So we've been here at the property, I think almost 2 months, like 3 or 4 days. Let's see, I think we're 5 days away from being here 2 solid months. And we've gotten a lot accomplished. I've documented all of it, showed you everything we've done. You know, you gotta remember, just 2 months ago, there was a completely devastated trailer here, mobile home. The front half had been cleaned up, okay. There was carpet still laying down and all the boards. And then the back half was still the trailer. I mean, the walls were down, but still had the roof up. We were able to cut the trailer. We've made the property look like a yard now. I mean, it's mostly cut. Of course, we got a lot more to clean up still. We've got the well going. We've got our solar panels hooked up. We've started construction on our tiny house. I've gotten several comments, and there's other YouTubers making comments about me, saying that it's just impossible that I know everything that I've been telling you. Some people have been saying, he thinks he's a know-it-all. In yesterday's video, I thought I had discounted that a little bit by saying I really didn't understand wells. I understand well pumps, but the well itself, I don't understand all that well. I mean, to me, it's just a hole in the ground with water in it. I put a Folgers can there as a temporary solution to raise the well casing up a little bit out of the ground. I've concreted, and now I'm looking at the well casing itself. And I think I've put a flashlight down there, and I think I saw a crack in the well casing. So that might be a partial problem also. I think all the things I've done is helping. So now I think I'm going to have to put what they're calling a well liner in the well. So I have to learn all about well liners. And so all morning, I've been trying to learn about a well liner. And Carolyn and I have talked about it. And we're not going to do anything right away. We're going to continue to build a tiny house, save our money, build a tiny house. And then after the tiny house is done, I'll start playing with the well. And so that means I'm also having to figure out different ways to filter the water. What I think I'm going to do is just continue doing what I've been doing and wait until the ground dries out. And then I'll just flush the well out for, I don't know, 20 minutes. That's all it takes. And then the water comes out crystal clear. And even when you test it, it tests really well. So I'm not really concerned about that right now. I mean, I was concerned about it because I didn't know what the problem was. But now that I've really researched it and understand what's going on a little better. But to get back to these commenters, they said, it is impossible for one person to know everything that you say and claim that you know. I'm not telling the truth. And he starts listing off different things. And he started talking about the solar panels and the well. He talked about the well. and how to build a tiny house, DC electric, which I thought went with solar panels. He also brought up cell phones. You seem to know everything about cell phones and cell phone signals and providers. But the point is I probably obsess a lot more than I should about minor things. And so what I end up doing is when I have a problem or I want to do something, I immediately dive into trying to fix the problem or come up with an idea. Or I remember when I was a kid, I had a Darth Vader watch, but I wound it up really tight, I guess. And as a result, it wasn't working anymore. So I took it apart. Now, of course, when I took it apart, I broke the hands on it. So it no longer had any hands. I was what, 7, 8 years old, and I took it apart and I broke the hands. But I couldn't get over the fact that I didn't understand why it stopped working. I was pretty convinced, even back then, that I probably overwhelmed the watch. I know it was probably just a few days, but I feel like I spent years trying to figure out how come that watch stopped working. Finally, I found a little lever. I hit the lever, it unwound, and started ticking again. And that's just the way it's always been for me, is I just kind of obsess about things until I find a solution to it. And the other aspect of this is I've never had a lot of money. So anything I've done, I've had to do very cheaply or just build it myself or invent it myself. Like the solar panels. About 15 years ago, I was a big conspiracy theorist. I just knew the end of the world was coming and I was going to be the lone survivor. And so I started working on solar panels. And again, I obsessed and obsessed and obsessed about it. The first attempt that when I tried to get solar panels, back then they weren't that popular. And so not a lot of information about them. And I bought these little 4-inch squares. And so if you look at this solar panel, you can probably see what I did. Right here, you can see there's a solar cell there. And so what I tried to do was I bought these little solar cells, is what they called, and I tried to solder them together. Oh my goodness, that was a nightmare. I mean, I broke every panel trying to get them to go together and set them on a board, and I'm doing it on my living room floor. It was a disaster. But it was cheap. It was a cheap learning lesson on how solar panels worked. I mean, I don't think I spent more than $30 for these cells. And that got me into, okay, what do I really need to do? And so I started really researching, and I spent a couple years learning all about solar panels. And by the time I had it all said and done, I had a solar panel. I actually had 4 solar panels. Charge controllers weren't that good back then. And so now, when I was ready to get solar panels, I pretty much knew what I wanted to do. And so I just had to work out some minor details and relearn some of the things that I had forgotten. As far as building a tiny house, again, I'm going to go back to probably 2003. We just bought a house. My ex-wife and I just bought a house, and the front porch needed replaced. And it was actually unsafe. We bought the house. We had an insurance company that came out, and they said that we were going to have to block off the front porch, that we couldn't allow anybody on it until it was replaced. My ex-wife says, well, are you going to go out and build it? And I said, what do I know about building a front porch? I've never built a front porch. So she said, okay, well, I'll just call a contractor. She must have called the most expensive contractor on the planet. The house, I think, was like $28,000. Wasn't very expensive. And it was a 4-bedroom house, really nice house. She calls this contractor. He comes out and he looks at the porch and he's writing numbers down. And he hands us a piece of paper. $15,000 he wanted for the front porch. I said, $15,000? That's more than half of the cost of the house. Why would I want to spend that much? And I said, I'll figure this out. And so I did. I obsessed and I obsessed and I obsessed, trying to learn how to build a front porch. And I asked everybody I knew. Back then we didn't have YouTube or Google or anything to make this easy. And after that, I started working on little projects, building little things here and there. I've really taken a lot of time trying to learn how to do this. Again, Google and YouTube are really handy now. And I have obsessed with learning these things. The thing is I don't spend a lot of time doing other activities. I'm usually feeding my brain with something. I don't watch sports. I'm very active. I like going outside and doing things, even if it's just cutting the grass or pulling weeds, or I'm always doing something to exercise my brain So I'm not just stuck in there watching TV. And we don't even have TV, we have Netflix, so it's got to be something Carolyn and I agree on. If you're struggling to keep up with the idea that one person can build an off-grid lifestyle all by themselves, you can. But you got to be dedicated to it. You got to really want it, really aspire to work hard and learn a lot and try again. Failure is an option in this. So I hope that shed some light on how I have progressed to get to this stage of my life. And I hope that you will continue to learn everything you can learn so you can live it also. Thanks for watching.